Medina before marriage. Wow. I was certainly Medina Cassim before marriage. And I don't know, hey? I actually forgotten what I was, if you think about it. If I look at the years that I haven't been Medina Cassim, it actually takes a lot of reflection. I've had to look deep inside to try and figure out who I was before. I definitely love who I am now. Way, way, way more than who I used to be. Undoubtedly, actually, because who I was before didn't really know who she was. She was trying to figure out, trying to establish. She was searching, she was confused, she was fearful, she was guilty, she was so many different things. And as the years have gone by, I definitely am still work in progress, but I'm figuring out more and more who I actually am. The relationship with my mom, it's so like, I wouldn't even say double-folded, three-sided, four-sided, there's so many different sides to it. If we're talking about now I have a relationship more where I feel like I'm the protector. I feel like I'm actually looking after her. In so many ways, the tables have reversed, I'd say. You know, there was a time where she was my protector, and then there was a time where we were really good friends. And I seem to feel now like I'm more the protector, I'm more the provider, I'm the one that's taking care. But it's still an amazing relationship. You know, we're able to relate. There's a lot of things that frustrate me at times because I sometimes feel like she just doesn't get me and she takes a lot of things personally. But I think when you know the person and you know the good side and you know the bad side, you try to find a happy medium so that we all live feeling good at the end of the day. Oh, my mom for the longest time was my role model. She was forever my role model. From a little girl growing up, I idolized her. If I look at just her dress sense, her inspiration, her vibiness, everything about her, I just wanted to be just like her. There was no one like my mom. And even if I look at her now, there still is. It's very hard to compete with her. Not that one would want to compete, but the shoes she wears, the steps she's taken to actually fill it, you know, it's a big task, I would say. But what I've learned to be is me. So I recall, even as a young, I would say more young adult, because I always admired my mom's tenacity, my mom's strength, my mom's resilience. You know, nothing was too much for her. She was extremely flamboyant, and it just resonated with me. You know, she really was somebody that was exciting to be around. I'm very different to my mom. So my mom, I believe, wasn't very present, you know, and I, to a certain extent, wasn't present with Sharice, but I would like to believe I was a lot more conscious. So I developed myself because I needed to understand more of who I was. And in order to understand who I was, I tried to share more consciousness with Sharice. So I think I just tried to lift the notch a little. You know, we always try to do a little better. But what I realized, I must say, as I've gotten older and lived life, I realized that we never, I wouldn't say good enough, but there's always flaws. There's always flaws where you try your hardest, but it might not be what your child requires. So I looked at things that I didn't enjoy from my mom, and I tried to do it differently. But when I had those courageous conversations with Sharice, I realized that there are still so many things that she doesn't enjoy or didn't enjoy about me. And then my words of wisdom to her are shares, you've just got to be the best mom you can be, because you're going to find yourself in a very similar position when Tayla grows up. I think firstly she's an amazing mom, she's a present mom. But there's a yin and a yang to that. You see, if I look at my mom was hustling to provide for me. I was hustling to provide for Cherise. But in the hustle, I still tried to be as present as I could. So I think I created a lot of shade for Cherise by really extending myself. Well, my terms of shade, my terms of success, my terms of creating a bit of a platform. I would like to believe that I worked very, very hard so that Cherise wouldn't have to work as hard. But in saying that, I think there's a yin and a yang to that, because I was hungry and there was the same tenacity and resilience that I saw in my mum, whereas I don't see that sort of extent of wanting to achieve from Cherise. Now, I might not be using the right wording here, and Cherise has got qualities that are amazing. Her values, her grounding, her respect, her love language, there's so much greatness to her. But I always seem to look for me. And I've had to really dig deep to understand that there's goodness in every one of us. And the fact that she isn't me is that she was raised differently. But it took me a long time to realize that, to actually see that she's a different woman, and the needs that she has are very different to the needs that I have. And I think it's only emotional intelligence and having those courageous conversations with each other that we're able to iron those things out. I realized that we all see things differently and we do things differently. We were raised differently. The way I was raised and the way I've raised Cherise, there's a huge difference. So I've had courageous conversations with Cherise just to understand exactly where she's at, so that there isn't a blame game. And emotional intelligence has played a huge role. I've really worked hard on developing myself because I think we always want the best for our kids, and I look at how I was raised, I look at the things that I enjoyed, I look at the things that I didn't enjoy, and I really wanted to make a difference consciously with Cherise. And Cherise was raised to be seen, to be heard, to express, but as long as she does all of that with respect. I was raised to be seen and not to be heard. And for the longest time, I think there was resentment to a certain extent, but the more consciousness, or should I say the more conscious I became, I was able to sit with my parents and share and express, the things that actually hurt me, the things that I didn't enjoy, and also just to share with them that the vulnerability that I was showing was really showing courage. Because my parents always believed that, I would like to think my parents believed that vulnerability was weakness. But I think that's just a different generation altogether, because I even find it to date. If I talk to my parents, there's so much of their history and there's so much anger that still sits within them that they're not willing and open to share. But the more I press buttons and the more I share my truth, I find a lot of their truth starts to come forth. Oh, Tayla, that's my hero. Tayla is my everything. She's my heartbeat. And I think the relationship is so different, being a granny versus being a mom. With a mom, you're busy hustling and you are disciplining and you're doing so many different things. Whereas with my granddaughter, it's just that real love, unconditional love, where you can express, you can share. And our relationship, I find her so open and the innocence of the young. She just expresses herself because there's no limits. And I am often having to be drawn to task, by Cherise to say, Mom, we need to be mindful. We need Tayla to see value in things. We need her to understand the value of things. We need her to be respectful and not just expect things, and understand that there's a reward, for things that are done, where she excels kind of thing, not just receive things for nothing. And what I do is I just do things from the heart, sometimes not thinking, because I believe that's what grannies do. But I'm very, very mindful. When Cherie shares with me, I ensure that the best outcome is what I put forward for Tayla. So we'll have a courageous conversation, and I will share with her, Tayla, we may be doing this, but if we really give it some thought, it's not the right thing to do. So now let's wind back a little. Let's consider your mom. Let's consider Jonah, because at the end of the day, they're current and they're relevant. And when it comes to social media, when it comes to things on the ground, they know a lot more than I do. They're a lot more aware, and they love her unconditionally. So I need to work for them, not against them, because it's all in the best interest for Tayla. But sometimes it can be challenging, because I think I become a kid with her, and we have loads of fun. But it's an amazing journey, because I share a lot with Shez and Jonah, and I ensure that we're always working on the best outcome for Tayla. One has to think about that question. I would love my family to know that I feel just like they do. So many people see me as a hero. They see me as a provider. And sometimes I think people are very, very concerned and walk around with kid gloves. Not always though, because they are quite expressive, but sometimes I get that feeling. But I'd love them to know that I am equal to every one of them. We all play a role, and we're all human first. And I think I've let down my boundaries in many, many ways, or should I say not even let down, I didn't create enough boundaries. And because of my own lack of self-love and self-worth, over the years, I think I did a lot just to please. And there was a lot of fear in me, so that they always acknowledged me for the better side of who I was. And if I let my guard down and I showed my flaws, I always had this sort of in my subconscious that maybe I wouldn't be seen for the person that I truly am. But I would just like to share that the journey I'm on now, I have never been more truthful. And I'm grateful actually for the way they're engaging with me, because I am sharing my truth. I've never been as courageous as I am. I am loving their support. And I think, I don't know if I'm going with the question here, but we're also conscious of wanting to be better versions and wanting to show up for each other in a positive manner and break those generational curses. So I think I just need them to know that I'm trying so hard to take away all the filters and trying to be the real me and just show my authentic self, because I think that's the way we need to be. They need to know me for who I am and not as a hero, because I don't believe that anyone is better than either one of us.